And we're back again. So in this chapter, we can see that the cockpit detailing has been, it's pretty much, finished. I don't have any 132-ish scale pilot figures to use, so it's probably just going to be an empty cockpit. So you know that when I model a airplane in flight, I like to have crew. And this airplane is pretty much, the plan was to model it in flight as an in-flight aircraft, but it's just not going to have crew, I guess. Unless between now and the time I button it up, I come up with a plan or find something I can use to outfit it with a crew. If I could find 132-ish scale pilot figures and some website or another, or somewhere in the pile of bits and pieces that I have. I don't think I have anything like that, but I could be wrong. It could be staring me right in the face and I might miss it. What I'm doing here is I put in an anti-glare panel over the instrument panel. The anti-glare shield that goes, I guess they just call it a glare shield. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm working on here. It's just a piece of the birch ply that I typically use for so many things, being pressed into service yet again to provide a glare shield over the instrument panel. It keeps the sun from shining down across the instrument faces and either blinding the pilot with the reflection off the glass, or creating a glare, making it hard to see the instrument faces. So glare shield, and that's this part here that just goes over the control panel. Alright, so I'm just going to give it a coat of flat black brush on acrylic paint, like so. You can see that I mocked up a couple of seats. You might be able to see the control columns, the yokes in there. Those are just done with bent solder, shaped, bent to shape of a Y, essentially. Yeah, so that's there. And control yokes, a couple of seats, and you can see the center pedestal has the engine controls on it, and the instrument panel under the glare shield. Alright, so when we get a little closer to throwing the cover cap on, this is the overhead panel. I'll be painting this black and gluing it up underneath the support here. So it'll just go on in there, centered up like so, with a secondary, a triangular shaped panel coming off the nose. And the triangular shaped panel should fit just inside of this area right here. Again, as part of the two-part or two-piece overhead panel. And then when the time comes, this part will be installed over the top here in such a way that the overhead panels fit just inside of it along this line right about here. Nice, right? Let's hope so. I added a couple of filler pieces here, sistered on to the stringers that came from the rear, the aft bulkhead of the cabin to the firewall. It was a straight run across here, but the this thing kind of has cheeks. These bow out slightly here. So to make them fit closer, I just added on a additional stringer on either side, shaved it to the proper shape and then sanded it and rounded it to the point where it fits just inside of fits just inside of this edge on both sides of the cockpit cap, the cover. So that'll work. That should be good. I think that's good. You can see I've done some of the infill here on the top. I'm just going to infill the entire top half of the fuselage. None of that will interfere with the wiring. Once I get started on that, we'll run a tail light out to the tail and get the battery tossed in here, tack it down. I didn't get the Velcro today. I'm gonna have to get that Velcro. And then the motherboard, I think, will just attach here using a two-sided tape. And with the wiring ports on the face of it here, I'll be able to access the wiring ports without any trouble at this location. And then we'll run the wires once we're ready to install the wing centerline section. I'll be able to run the nav lights, the navigation lights, out to the wingtips. Through the cutout, when I infill this, I'll infill everything top and bottom except for this channel, which is where I've drilled out these holes for the LED lighting. Okay, so that'll take care of the navigation lights and the tail lights, and then we're going to drop the red beacon light through the wing and in and down underneath. So the red beacon on the DC-3 is positioned right about here. So I'll probably just drill a hole through this bulkhead and then attach that light just to the side of this rib right here. We'll get it all infilled, leave that light exposed, and then I'll put probably, and I don't have one on this tree, but in the automobile car modeling, actually these come with the semi-truck kits. Series of running lights. There's also a couple of red beacons and a couple of amber beacons on this tree, and they're the perfect size for this 132 scale to represent the rotating red beacon fixture lens. So we'll just put that over the top of the LED, and that'll take care of the beacon. And then I'll have to string the landing lights, and the landing lights actually go into the outer wing section, probably in this third cell, this location here, and they're buried into the leading edge of the wing. So after I get the airfoil shape sanded into this and it's all infilled on the top, we'll leave, in this case, the bottom channels, these two channels here open, and drill through this spar and then through the leading edge and drop the landing lights in through here and wire them in at this, probably at this point here. So I'll have to figure out exactly what I need to leave open when I'm getting close to finish shaping and sanding the wings, but not fully infilled as of yet. We'll leave a couple of these channels and cells open here and here and here and here, or whatever, until I can get all the wiring done. This is the first time I've wired a kit like this, so I'm having to constantly think about and change up my approach and what I the plan as we go. I think I've got a plan, and I'll start working the thing, and I'll realize, oh, that plan I had probably isn't going to work the way I'm thinking it will, and then so I have to, so it's like constant adjustments on the fly here while this is going together. I'm hopeful I'll be able to pull it off. As I said, I've never added lighting to a balsa kit. At least I haven't done it yet. And you know, that was the purpose of the Chevy 55 Chevy car kit, was just to kind of go through the process and of not just of executing the thing, but of how to go about thinking about it, right? Thinking about things is part of the process of actually doing it. You can't just do a thing one-off, you know, from beginning to end without thinking about how you're going to do it. And so, you know, those thoughts and those changing plans, the shifting plans are part of, you know, the program, if that makes any sense at all. So, as I say, I'm having to, you know, think about this and rethink it, and, you know, work it out as we go. And then it's probably still going to come down to, you know, oh God, I've painted myself into a corner now. How do I get out of that? And how do I figure this out, you know, after the fact? So anyway, that's where we are on that. All right, thinking about wiring, trying to get around, you know, how many steps and what steps I should, you know, build through, and up to what point before I start, you know, actually pulling wire. I think I talked about this on one of the previous videos, so if this is redundant, but if you can see how the tail fits to the fairing here, this is actually really really good. I haven't done any shaping or adjusting of this curve, and all I did with the tail was I laid it up according to the plan, and then infilled it to the radius of each of the formers, ribs, and it gave us, you know, sanding just to the tops of those ribs gave us the exact shape that the tail needs to be. Now that I've sanded it and everything to rough contour, this is roughly how it should look. Again, ongoing sanding, we're going to be continuing to cut into this shape, but less and less cutting into it, and more smoothing and removing of the grain. But it's still going to eat into the shape, and but roughly this is really close. And as I lay on more of the filler and do more of the sanding down to the 180 and the 220 grit, we should end up with a proper fit here. But already, just as a rough cut, it looks pretty good, you know, yeah, on both sides even. So we're right there. And you know, when I talk about the engineering of these kits and how the parts go together, and how, you know, Guillow or Dumas or Hare Engineering or any of the companies that, you know, even the defunct ones, Sterling and Cleveland and all of them, really put a strong effort into, you know, proper engineering on the kits, getting the parts and pieces cut right, and making sure that the basic bones and the foundation of the model kit is good. It's solid. You know, it's accurate. You know, the fidelity to the real world aircraft, and the concessions they might have to make, you know, with this being a facsimile of an actual airplane. The fact that you're manufacturing this on a tabletop, you know, with pins and glue and sandpaper, you know, they get it pretty darn right, pretty much every time. You know, I've probably built 25 of these kits now, and somebody's having a rough night, poor little feller. But they get it pretty. I mean, they get it right, and I'm always impressed by things like that. When they come together, and the finished product. And if you go back through the videos and look at, you know, the finished product, you can see that yeah, I'm doing stuff, but ultimately, when I build these up, I'm staying as true to the kit and the kit designer and the engineering as I can, so that when I build up the bare bone structure, the sticks and formers, and I get to this point, we've got a reasonable facsimile of something, and it's the blank canvas that then I can go to work on to try and enhance it or detail it up or scale it up a little bit, so that we end up with a really decent desktop representation of a certain size, that lends itself more. I don't know. I'm an aviation enthusiast, so that's what I call it. I build these kits. They're mostly aircraft, flight simulation. I go to air shows. It's always been that way. This is how I'm wired. I'm not a mountain climber. I'm not a hiker. I do those things. I hike, but I wouldn't say that that's my passion. I would say I like doing it. But this is different. It's the enthusiasm for aviation over the decades, a century or more of powered flight, manned powered flight, and all the different types of aircraft that have been designed and built over those decades, century and more, have always been appealing to me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm recreating them here in scale. Occasional model ship, occasional model cars, model trucks. Just, I don't know. It's what I do. And it's the purpose of the channel is to reach out to and then communicate with others who are, similarly inclined. And I know that it's not a small number of people that build model kits of whatever kind they are, whatever whatever it is that floats your boat. Planes, trains, automobiles, ships, boats, whatever. Scale models, doll houses. I'm building them in the middle of the dollhouse kit for my granddaughter, and that's progressing nicely. It's a big job. Yeah, much more involved than